The Great Silk Road. Human civilization does not know any other road as famous as this trans-Eurasian system of routes linking together Western Europe and China. The name was given by Ferdinand von Richthofen, a German geographer. It was called so because one of the major products traveled on it was silk from China. There wasn't one route, there were many, passing here, or here, or here. The distance between ancient Rome and China was about 6,000 miles, which took 2 years of traveling by caravans. Today, it takes 12 to 14 hours by plane. The Silk Road started in the 2nd century BC and existed for over 15 centuries. The Silk Road was important because it helped to generate trade and commerce between a number of empires. This helped ideas, culture, inventions, and different products spread across the world. It witnessed emergence and collapse of many empires in Europe, Middle East, Central Asia, Hindu Valley, and China. Actually, a small part of North Africa was also involved. If we look at today's map, probably about 40 modern countries hosted the roads, out of approximately 200 countries in total. The Silk Road helped our world to shape and become what it is today. This is how it started. There were two great civilizations, the ancient Rome and China. They were great, rich, controlled many nations, produced many great things, and could give a lot to each other. But they were too far away from each other, and there was no relationship. This is how other empires lying between Rome and China became important. China produced fine silk, the production secret of which they kept closely. The demand for silk in Rome had grown. China was fascinated by Roman gold and silver and precious gems. Empires figured out that if they cannot conquer one another, at least they can trade. At the western edge of the route, goods were loaded onto ships, and on the eastern part and in between, goods travelled by caravans made up of camels and horses. Goods didn't travel with the same merchant till the end of the route. Only a few people travelled the whole of the Silk Road. Merchants carried shipments from a major centre to the following one, and then others continued, and so it went on and on and on. Many merchants travelled in groups or caravans, along with bodyguards, because travelling was very dangerous those days. Besides silk, the Chinese also exported teas, salt, sugar, porcelain, and spices. Most of what was traded was expensive luxury goods. This was because it was a long trip and merchants didn't have a lot of room for goods. They imported goods like cotton, ivory, wool, gold, and silver. Chinese paper, one of the most remarkable inventions of Chinese technical genius, was highly appreciated. At the initial stage of the Silk Road development, Chinese received expensive horses from Central Asia and the seeds of lucerne and grapes from Europe. For Chinese, separated from other civilizations, grapes were a novelty. Moreover, Chinese envoys were very surprised when they found that it was possible to make wine not only from rice, but also from berries unknown to them. Thanks to the Silk Road, Central Asia became very rich. Several cities along the road became major trading centers. Many new cities were built along the road, like Samarkand, Bukhara, and others. Central Asia exported camels, which were very appreciated in China, military equipment, gold and silver, semi-precious stones and glass items. Samarkand made glass, which was especially valued due to its high quality. Other goods were skins, wool, cotton fabrics, gold embroidery, exotic fruits, watermelons, melons and peaches, fat-tailed sheep and hunting dogs, leopards and lions. Who was the person that most influenced the world history and the Silk Road in particular? Few would mention Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan. Arguably, however, Genghis Khan and the Mongols were a dominant force that shaped Eurasia and consequently the modern world, not for what they destroyed, but for what they built. The Mongols under Genghis Khan and his successors conquered Eurasia from China to the Middle East, Russia, and other parts of Europe. This was the largest empire in history. They came close to uniting Eurasia into a world empire, and by doing so, they spread throughout new technologies like paper, gunpowder, paper money, compasses, and trousers. Historians say Genghis Khan killed about 40 million people. But he also granted religious freedom to his subjects, prohibited torture, encouraged trade, and set up the first international post offices. At the beginning, the first Mongols on the Silk Road attacked and looted the market along the trade routes. But in time, the Mongols developed and guarded their own efficient trade along the Silk Road. India was famous for its fabrics, spices, and semi-precious stones, dyes, and ivory. Iran for its silver products and rugs. Rome received spices, fragrances, jewels, ivory, and sugar, and sent European pictures and luxury goods. Eastern Europe imported rice, cotton, woolen and silk fabrics from Central Asia and exported considerable volumes of skins, furs, fur animals, bark for skin processing, cattle and slaves to Khorasan. Making the trip from east to west and vice versa were elements of culture. Traders learned the languages spoken by people in the east, in the west, and in the lands lying in between. Along with goods, ideas also traveled the Silk Road. Buddhism was introduced to China by merchants from India. Over time, Buddhism lost much of its influence in India, but became very popular in China. Islam traveled to Central Asia with Arab merchants in the 9th till the 10th centuries. Devastating illness also traveled this trade route. The Black Death took the lives of nearly half of the people of Europe between 1348 and 1350. Scientists believe the plague came from Asia. The Silk Road lost its importance when the Mongol Empire fell, and Mongols no longer policed the trade routes. The Silk Road became even more dangerous when bandits learned to make Chinese gunpowder. The end of the Silk Road came by in the 15th century as Portuguese learned to circumnavigate Africa. The new sea routes created by the Portuguese were faster and safer than the Silk Road. Well, this is the history of the Silk Road. It happened thanks to human inquisitiveness, entrepreneurship, thirst for ever new knowledge, and a desire to go beyond. The Silk Road contributed so much to the way the world is today. It shaped up different countries and cultures. It developed things like international trading, distribution of labor, international banking and money exchanges, international postal service, protection of property, the rights of consumers, and so on and so on. I do not really understand all of these things, but I know that they are very important. I believe many of us live on that invisible Silk Road even today. I am a product of this road too. Being born in Central Asian, European culture, living in different countries along the Silk Road, and just enjoying life on our wonderful planet.